So I often heard this many times during the election, after the election. I'm sure people heard it themselves. That people are sick and fucking tired of Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann being just a talking shop, and unfortunately it has become a talking shop in the last 10 years. It's just all talk and waffle, bullshit and bullshit. They just laugh at people pretty much in that terms, because nothing's ever achieved, nothing's ever done to benefit anybody in this state, as far as I can see. It seems to be all just waffling. The same with the majority of the council chambers. They're all talking about the same thing they've been talking about for the last 10 years, and nothing has ever changed. So you can understand why loads of people are frustrated, and you can see why people don't bother to go out and vote. Because nothing ever was achieved. Simple as that. Take for example, back when Enda Kenny was Taoiseach, that's a good while ago. He said, I'll end the trolley crisis in the Dáil. Long and behold, we're still here. Nothing has changed. And we're still going around in circles and the local authorities talking about, the trolley crisis. We need to write this letter to the Minister for Health. We need to do this. We need to do that. We've done it for the last 10 years and nothing has changed. Or maybe it changed now. But long story short, a lot of people just think it's all bullshit. And to be totally honest, it is all bullshit. Because at the end of the day, all the power comes from Brussels at the moment. That we're not governed by Irish in Dáil Éireann or Shannon Éireann as the people who founded the first Dáil wanted us to be governed by Ireland, by people who are elected by the Irish people, not by Brussels. That's where it's coming from. The majority of our legislation that's been passed through the House of the Oireachtas at the moment is EU legislation. 50% of it is EU legislation. And you mean to tell me that's sovereignty? But again, backwards looking idea of sovereignty, Micheál Martin. But yeah, it's all just in my opinion too, it's already just a talking shop. There's nothing ever achieved in the grand scheme of things. Nothing's ever achieved, to be told. It's all just talk. The same thing that's been talked about for the last 10 years. Take for example, house and, it's just all waffle. And if there was less talk, again, as often people say to the politicians, if there was less talk and more action, things would go differently. But as the fact of the matter is the opposite, it's talk and not action. Because there's no action. There's literally no action. There's no meaningful action. As again, we've seen the last 2 weeks they were on a holiday. The Dáil was only back and they were on a holiday. They're probably going on another holiday for St. Patrick's. They all will be going on a holiday for St. Patrick's Day. But long story short, if they keep, we hear it every day of the week. There's a house in emergency. There's this emergency. There's other emergency. If there was an emergency, you think the Dáil would sit 24/7, 7 days a week. If there was an emergency. But we don't see that. Nobody suggests that. Imagine that. You think they would if there were. Every day you hear them yapping. There's a house in emergency. There's this emergency. There's other emergency. There's this. If there was an emergency, they should be working all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in Dáil Éireann. But again, nothing is ever achieved. Because again, as I say, the same things have been talked about for the last time, and I can't keep saying that, but that's what I'm saying. And for a lot of young people, I heard it, and it's sad to see. I used to hear from a lot of elderly people. A few years ago, 5 years ago, take what's happened, it was all laugh, it was all theatre. And unfortunately, that's what democracy is now. It's all theatre. It's all smoke and mirrors, trying to mislead people and trying to bring people down the garden path, pretty much. That's what democracy, unfortunately, in this country is like nowadays. It's not real democracy, it's only really smoke and mirrors. They try and, gaslight people, really, pretty much. And it's a sad thing to say, because democracy is the best form of government. Let's be fair, because we've seen in our history, not in our history, but in the world's history too, different regimes, etc., in the 1930s, in the Soviet Union, other countries, it hasn't worked. Democracy is the best thing because people can hold their public representatives to account in a democratic way, and I do think that's the best way. And it's the way the state was founded too, the first Dáil, etc., They wanted a parliament, they wanted a democracy, and unfortunately they were turning their graves now if they seen the state of our democracy at the moment in terms of Dáil Éireann and Shannon Éireann. They would be disgraced, they would be spinning in their graves, the first Dáil, if they seen what the 34th Dáil was doing nowadays. And particularly the last Dáil, they would spin in their graves. If they could spin any more in their graves, because to be totally honest, we really, as a country, not as a people, but as a country, the governments, the recent governments, have shown time and time again that it's not the Irish people that have at heart. It's more than that, and it's more about money and power and influence. And again, that's not what the first Dáil, we were just thinking about it, the first Dáil, it was an illegal organisation declared by the British, treason, pretty much. And they went ahead and done it, no money, and they didn't think about money and power. The only thing they had in their head was, we need to free this country. And unfortunately, the modern day politicians, backwards looking idea of sovereignty, it's a quite difference compared to the first Dáil and that time where we actually had people who cared for the country, who wanted to do anything they could to free the country, not for their own benefit, for the future generations. Unfortunately, we're the future generations, and unfortunately, that future, that their dreams have basically gone to the dogs at this stage. But it is a disgrace that democracy's become this, that it's just a bit theatre and mirrors, smoke and mirrors, pretty much. And it's a sad state of affairs, and I'm sure people would agree with me. It's all theatre, it's all monopoly, pretty much. But it's ludicrous that it's still happening. But again, there needs to be more action than talk, and particularly again our own sovereign action, not from Brussels or from any other country. Dublin is the Irish government. Dublin is the Irish Parliament, not Davos, not Brussels. It's Dublin. Suppose that we only serve Dublin, our own people. We don't serve any other country. And simple as that, we don't serve Davos, we don't serve Brussels, we only serve Ireland. That's as simple as that. And that's what was said many years ago. Hopefully we brought back. Thank you.